Hello, everybody. Hello, Matteo. How are you today?
Not at all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you, Matteo, for joining us. And thank you, everybody, to join us as well. We're very excited to have you here. This is week 10 of the AI Valuation Code. And as you know, every Monday at 1:30 p.m., Matteo and I join and explore one of the biggest valuation transformations happening in business history. Um, Last week, we mentioned at the end of the episode that we would be discussing how AI agents and organizational systems will reshape business leadership permanently. This is a topic that most companies are still completely underestimating. So you might be wondering, what are we talking about? And I'll give you a hint, it's AI related, but we're not talking about AI tools. We're not talking about ChatGPT. We're not even talking about automation. We're talking about something far more profound. We're talking about the emergence of AI agents as part of the workforce itself. We're basically entering a period where businesses will increasingly operate as hybrid teams, which this means basically humans plus AI agents. It will change everything on how businesses define and how we operate on a daily basis. Once businesses understand this transition and they do it early, this may gain extraordinary advantages in scalability, defensibility, execution speed, and obviously valuation. Fortunately, the business that ignore this shift will eventually be structurally outdated. Matteo, I think most companies still treat AI as a productivity shortcut, but I have to say that investors are no longer seeing it that way. They really think about it differently. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is so profound. Yeah, in my view, very, very profound. Uh, I'd have to say that now to become AI ready is a prerequisite to become investor ready. Um, and this is the central mistake that many businesses are making. Most businesses right now, they're using AI like a calculator, something separate from the organization. Probably I would say something tactical, but there's a real shift. The real shift really happens when AI becomes embedded operational intelligence. So we're not talking about tools here, yeah? When AI really is now inside your organization and is part of what happens every day. And when AI begins functioning as part of the organization, really the structure changes, and that's where valuation changes. That's where really the business start to have a completely different personality. Because investors increasingly look at, I would say four things. Number one, scalability. Number two, predictability. Number three, operational leverage. And number four, key person dependency. Now, these four things, they are invaluable. And AI agents directly influence all four of them. So scalability, predictability, operation leverage, key person dependency. If your business depends entirely on founders making the business, manually solving problems every day, then obviously your valuation, your capability to attract customer becomes really constrained. Anything becomes constrained commercially, with banks, with investors. But if intelligence becomes systemized through AI enhanced processes, well, suddenly the business becomes so much more transferable, more resilient, more scalable, and ultimately more investable. This is why we say that AI is the new electricity. The I valuation triangle is the grid. Uh, we always tend to say, well, electricity can be really dangerous without a grid. It can cause fires. Now, with a grid, is actually productive, because AI alone changes absolutely nothing. What matters is really organizational architecture, really.
I agree, and I think there's very something quite important that needs to be defined here. There's a huge difference between using AI tools to increase productivity and um, draft emails and building AI agents into the company structure, right? It's a game changer. Because an AI tool, it can help a human complete a task, while an AI agent increasingly performs workflows autonomously and also learns from it, right? So it's an evolving um, element, a bit just like we could compare that to how humans learn, right? It's a huge and it's a massive difference. Um, if we look at a practical example, right? If we have a finance assistant using AI to draft an email, it's one thing, right? But if we have an AI collections agent that is monitoring receivables, prioritizing debtors, escalating disputes, forecasting cash impacts, and even updating dashboards continuously, it's something different, right? It gives you access to data instantly and accurate data, which was no longer the case. Well, it wasn't the case in the past, right? If we look at this example, the first scenario with the finance assistant drafting the email is a productivity enhancement, while having an AI agent that is able to predict is basically an operational structure, right? It's embedded into the system. And the second one will change valuation, while the first would not. So there will be no change, slight increase in productivity, but nothing else. Um, and that infrastructure of having an AI agent um, is basically it reduces fragility and so reduces risks. Um, so Matteo, this whole discussion also changes leadership itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is such a major, unprecedented change in my view. It's a big new leadership model, completely. Let's think about that. Historically, organizations scaled by adding layers of people. That's what happened all, for so many in our lifetime, effectively. Um, AI is really changing the equation. Now, one highly capable leader could potentially orchestrate really uh, an enormous output through AI system. So I'm always saying, well, you have to learn two big things. One is to you need to be trained yourself to to manage AI agent. The other one is learn how to cope with them because it's not really easy. Um, so this means the future leadership may become a lot less about supervision and more about orchestration. Now that's so different, because so when you supervise, you have to take care of people, and they need the lunch break, they need to have meeting, they need to have meeting about the performance evaluation, promotion, and etc. Obviously, an agent is completely different. Uh, your question actually made me think about how the CEO of the future may manage human talent, AI agent, data system, decision architecture, and automation layers. Now the question is how many CEOs they know they received the right training, the right knowledge about how to do this. So I just want to repeat this point. So a CEO must manage human talent, of course, AI agent, data system, decision architecture, and automation layers. And this creates an entirely new type of organization, something that we've never seen before. an investor are really watching carefully, and not just investor, of course, even banks, even customers, because companies with high operational leverage, they tend to attract premium valuation. When I was saying before, you have to learn how to cope with AI agent as well, because I've had the experiences in the last few months of talking to businesses where AI agent, they were creating so much more output than they expected that they could not cope with it. So it's obviously something quite uh, surprising for many, yeah. So why was I saying before the high operational leverage tend to attract premium valuation? So makes your business much more bankable. This is because they scale revenue faster than they scale cost. Okay. This is what really operational leverage does to your business. And this is why this is a revolution, really, because AI agents matter so much strategically. It's really an important addition to your business. Not because they reduce headcount. That's not really the point. That's not what many people are thinking about now. But it's because they fundamentally really reshape execution capacity. There's no precedent for it, and this is why we hear in the news about Gartner, McKinsey, Goldman Sachs. They all say that the majority of AI projects fell because companies are not prepared. Now, I was saying before about the reshaping of the execution. Now, importantly, AI agent, they reduce key person risk. Now, let's never forget this. This is a very, very important subject for investor. If they see less concentration of risk on a key person, that obviously creates much more investability, much more bankability. This is really so critical for investor. This is so critical in valuation discussions. And now let's face it, if you're a business and you're not really thinking about this, why should an investor, you know, uh, look at your business and, give you the money that you need to fund? And let's face it also, if you are not thinking about this, what are the chances that your competitors are doing it and you are really not in a good place commercially, financially, with customers, with investors, with your future effectively. So this is, in my view, this vision about AI agent matters so much more than many people really dare to admit.
I think I agree entirely with you, Matteo. This is by far one of the biggest game changers in history, and it redefines engagement at all levels of the organization, right? It's we need to learn, and the companies and management needs to learn how to engage with this technology and how to restructure companies as such. Um, but before we continue, let's pause for a second because I would like to engage with the audience. We already have a challenge, or we're challenging traditional assumptions. So I would like to ask our audience our first questions. Have you started using AI agents operationally? Which department do you think will change first? And do you think AI will strengthen or weaken leadership teams? If you could write short answers in the commentary, so that we can pick it up and summarize some of your answers that we can keep on discussing. The whole idea is to keep everybody participating and also to adjust the conversations from what we receive from you.
Very interesting. So you're asking about the audience if they have started using AI agents operationally. That's the first question.
Right.
The second question is which department they believe will change first. And the third question is if they think AI will strengthen or weaken the leadership teams. And I think this is going to be quite controversial because many will think that the AI agent will weaken leadership teams, and it's actually the other way around. AI is likely in due course to really strengthen leadership teams. I wanted to take press opportunity while people are thinking about this. As you know, I've written this book, "Fail People Scale," that it was effectively was really originated from a program written in 2017 for the University of Plymouth. It's about building businesses chased by investors, by banks, and by customers as well, because it's about creating wealth from day one. It's not just about being investable. Um, when I wrote this book, obviously I didn't really think so much about AI, but now AI is making this book inevitable because of three big catalysts. Number one, we live in intangible economies, which is this is really the trajectory the world has taken for the last 50 years, really. And this is why, for example, intellectual property monetization is number one topic in my book. Number two, AI. AI now makes this even more inevitable because AI makes it so much more fundamental that you have a strong intellectual property model as well. But number three, most importantly as well, given that we are in 2026 now, is that investors are there's an unprecedented wave of private capital coming to us. Never happened in the history of humanity. $10 trillion in just 5 years, extra asset under management. So that's why I believe this book is really something that you should look into. It's really inevitable, and now that you become really familiar with what you need to do to be bankable, investable, and commercially successful in intangible economy. So, if you agree with me, Margaret, we could actually dedicate the next 90 seconds to the book, so that
Absolutely.
people can see, what it's all about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great idea, Matteo. Right. So back to the main topic. One thing that I've been noticing a lot in M&A conversations is that companies are attempting AI implementation without really considering any sort of organizational redesign. They're basically just putting AI tools on top of what already existed and hoping for the best. I'm going to be extremely precise about this. This is extremely dangerous. Why? Because AI basically amplifies structure. If the structure itself is poor, then AI would just accelerate chaos, right? If the workflows are unclear, AI compounds confusion. If the leadership alignment is weak, AI will emphasize and magnify fragmentation. This is why a lot of the AI projects fail. Maybe not clear at the start, but eventually will. It's not the reality. It's not that the technology per se is weak. It's just that the foundation and the organization around it was flawed from the beginning, right? The business was just not ready for that additional layer. And this is something that is extremely linked to topics that we have been discussing in past sessions. And I'm referring to succession planning, right? Matteo, we discussed this last week, but a lot of companies sadly still rely on tribal knowledge or founder centricity, where one person takes all the decision and then knowledge gets trapped inside a few individuals, which obviously increases risks and decreases valuation on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. But this is where businesses need to think differently. Let's talk about AI agents. AI agents can become repositories of institutional intelligence. What do I mean? There's so much stuff there. I mean, talking about processes, we're talking about customer patterns, decision frameworks, operational logic, commercial knowledge, risk analysis. Really, this matters so much because it means that businesses can begin transforming undocumented founder knowledge into scalable infrastructure. This is really priceless. This is so important for a business. Because one of the biggest valuation killers is dependency on a few individuals. This is what kills so many conversations with investors. If the founder disappears, the business weakens. Investors hate that. Banks hate that. Acquirers discount heavily for that. I mean, if you're trying to sell a business, big discount, yeah. So if you're preparing your business for exit, think twice about whether you don't want to look into AI. But if knowledge becomes embedded into operational systems, suddenly the business becomes more transferable. Not just more transferable, I would say, more durable, more investable. And this changes succession planning completely. Succession is no longer just replacing people, really. It becomes about preserving intelligence, which is a totally different type of angle of observation.
Absolutely. I think it's a real topic, and a lot of founders misunderstand valuation per se, right? They think that valuation is primarily a financial exercise. And I have to say that's not really the case. It's actually more and more so structural. And basically the market rewards businesses that appear to be repeatable, defensible, predictable, and transferable. The reason is that lowers risk. And so they are more willing to invest because they see their money as being safe. Now, AI agents, what they do is they strengthen all of these four areas. So we're looking at repeatability, defensibility, predictability, and transferability, right? So there's four pillars that basically AI agents reassure, give us confidence. Let's look at a quite practical example. If a customer onboarding becomes systemized through AI agents, the business will basically scale faster. If sales intelligence then becomes systemized, revenue becomes predictable and improves. If a customer support becomes continuously available, retention improves. And if operational decisions become data enhanced, then the execution improves as well. You have more quality, basically. All of these factors will influence your valuation perception. And so will drive your multiples up, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And again, one of the themes inside my book, Help People Scale, is that businesses historically scale through labor intensity, but AI-driven business is increasingly scaled through intelligent intensity. Okay, so I want to make this difference between labor intensity and intelligence intensity. This is so profound as a shift. So many founders they still have not emotionally adapted to this reality. The companies that dominate the next decade may not necessarily have the largest teams, but they have the best architectures. So I was talking about orchestration before, yeah, as opposed to supervision. So the best system, the best knowledge infrastructure, the best operational leverage. Now, this is why the high valuation triangle matters so much now. This is why we keep saying that AI is the new electricity, but the high valuation triangle is the grid, yeah. Because AI alone does not create high valuation at all. Only when AI is connected to the high valuation triangle, number one, IP monetization, number two, succession planning, number three, global scalability. That's when AI really creates valuation acceleration.
I agree. And I think we've covered the main principles of this discussion. Now, we promised you that these series sessions would be extremely practical. And so I can see most of the founders scratching their head going, where should my business start now? Right? And we promised you practicality, so let's go straight into it. So the first thing, not with 100 tools. Definitely not panicking. And you should absolutely start looking at your workflows. That's the point number one. Looking at workflows practically, not how you think it's done, how it's actually done. There's a difference. Our advice, I think, would be, and Matteo, correct me if I'm wrong, but would be to start with a series of questions, right? When you look at your processes, please answer this. Where is my knowledge trapped? Where are repetitive decisions happening? Where are delays damaging the execution of my processes? Where is my leadership overloaded? And where does dependency create risk? Now, these are so important questions. I'm going to repeat them again. The first one is, where is my knowledge trapped? Where are repetitive decisions happening? Where are delays happening that are damaging the execution? Where is leadership overloaded? And where does dependency create risk? If you need me to repeat them again, I'm very happy to. Just let us know in the comments. These are the questions that are going to allow you to start thinking about your processes differently and start mapping them. And I'm going to say this again. Please do not map your processes as you think they're done. It needs to be how they're done so that you start looking at what is not currently working. Once you have that in place, then you can start integrating AI agents. carefully into each of these workflows. So we want to look at finance, operations, sales, customer service. Don't do it all at once. There's no point in rushing. It's easier to sort issues one by one, progressively, than trying to sort with a mistake or where something went wrong because you implemented everything too fast. The other services that you could look into is compliance, knowledge management, and very, very, very importantly, create governance around your AI usage. You want to create rules, clear, defined for humans and AI agents. The reason is that a lot of companies professionalize AI early. They become a lot more attractive to capital markets. And so to valuation, to banks, to investment, this is a great opportunity you should not let go.
Yeah, what you said to me is so important for so many businesses. We we said about the biggest hurdle. The first one, you need to professionalize your business so that AI can actually make a difference, can actually be embedded. And that's already in itself is a challenge for too many. The second one is you need to learn how to cope with AI because AI will create potentially so much more data, so many more, for example, leads for your business. But what many people do not actually appreciate sufficiently is that after you have embedded AI, you also need AI governance. Governance is fundamental because just imagine when you leave AI on its own devices without humans actually looking at how to potentially look at third-party relationships. Yeah. So that's where many people they don't understand. They make a big mistake thinking that once AI is embedded, then that's it. You don't need to really do more. Don't forget, if there are 10 extra trillion dollars of capital coming to the market, those $10 trillion, they will create new jobs. Many people say, oh, AI is taking my job. No, it's the other way around. If you prove that your business is actually creating so much more productivity and is investable, that money will need to be spent on people. So it's not as if AI is just going to take your job. That's the other way around. So for me, that's important to say because it really dispels a big myth. Um, my my consideration is that we are entering in a world where businesses will increasingly compete not only through people, but through intelligence systems. I said before that we are building intangible economies here, unlike never before. And today, 92% of the valuation of the S&P 500 is intangible. The companies that built those systems early may become the magnet businesses of the next decade. If you want to understand how prepared your business really is for this transition, we created the 12 outcomes in 49 days. It's a structured framework designed to help businesses become more investable, more scalable, more defensible, more bankable, more AI ready. We have prepared a scorecard that you can actually fill in. You will find it in the comments below, and you will also find it on the body of the post of this LinkedIn post. We're on LinkedIn, but we'll also be on Substack and on YouTube as well. For those who are watching us on LinkedIn, you will find it on LinkedIn as well. Those 12 outcomes in 49 days, they've been created so that the high valuation triangle will be really the grid for AI as the electricity in your business. Intellectual property is like the electricity generator. Succession planning is like the electricity transformer. Global positioning is like your transmission lines. So don't forget, electricity used to kill people when it was invented because people, they didn't have a grid. you need a grid. So the future will not reward businesses that merely use AI, but it will reward businesses that go architecture around it. So this is the way I would say I would conclude, Margaret. What do you think?
Think that was very smart, very that was very insightful, Matteo, as always. Thank you very much for the session. I always enjoy them. Please do not hesitate to comment, reach out to us. We're always very happy and excited to see your reaction and answer any questions that you might have. And with nothing else, see you next week.
See you next week, and we'll talk about succession planning in the AI era, ensuring business continuity and reducing key person risk with AI. That's going to be very fundamental, especially founder-centric business. Please listen to us, and finance professional as well. That's going to be you will really enjoy that.
Very interesting session ahead. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye.